There's a lot of deals going on right now just due to again, I'll use the word Biden economy. A lot of the gun manufacturers that don't normally mark down prices have done it.
Oh, okay.
Done it this summer. Suppressors were coming down, but now there's such a demand with them. With them turning faster right now, that
Oh.
they're not doing the deals that they normally would in the summertime.
69 foot pursuit. Stop! Sir, stop!
Well, welcome, Jim. Glad you're here. Finally,
Yeah.
you got it done.
Yeah, I finally got here.
So you were here today, and I'd like to let everyone know out there too. You're a sponsor of the podcast, so thank you so much for supporting it. Because
Sure.
without you, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
So thank you so much. Appreciate you supporting us. And
Wouldn't have it any other way.
yeah, you've always been good to the sheriff's office and supporting their causes, and this is one of theirs. And I'm super excited today. As you can see on the table, we have a bunch of suppressors or cans or silencers or whatever slang other name
Right.
that people now have for them. And I'm super excited about this episode because this is something near and dear to me. I just love this subject. But before we get started, tell us a little about yourself and how you and Tammy got into the business.
Sure.
Kind of.
Yeah, we've been in the business about 30 years with Mitchell Supply. I started out basically the first black gun store in the state because got into the ARs over 30 years ago, and nobody had parts, nobody had pieces, nobody had anything. So that's basically how I got into it, just so I could get stuff for myself, and then went around to different gun shows and started selling from the store there I had at the house. And then it just got worse from there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, now we've been at the location there on Smelter Avenue for 15 years.
And what's the address there? Yeah.
300 Smelter Avenue Northeast.
300 Smelter Avenue Northeast. And I remember I bought one of my first it wasn't my first AR. The first AR I bought in Great Falls was from you at your house.
Mm-hmm.
And I called you up, and you were kind of by appointment only.
Right.
And yeah, same for Ben back there. Yeah. And you kind of had to go back in this shop you had.
Right.
And I remember you were like selling, was it like fertilizers and stuff like that at the same time?
Yeah, we were doing that at the time. Yeah, as a plant manager doing that.
Yeah. And I remember what you went back and you had a nice little setup, but it was all local, and it was really cool. I think I can't remember what I bought. I want to say I bought a Rock River.
Mm-hmm.
It was right after the FBI got their big contract.
Right.
Oh no, it was right before the FBI got their big contract, because they were still relatively like inexpensive and a pretty high quality rifle.
Yeah.
For
those guns went from about $550 to $750 overnight.
Oh yeah.
Once they got the contracts.
That was crazy. I still remember that. But I remember meeting you there. And so you say you've been doing it. Now, did you always be born and raised in Great Falls? Is that where you're from?
No, I was born in the Midwest, real southern Illinois. I grew up on a dairy and grain farm.
Okay.
And did that for into the 80s. And then it's just when interest rates hit 20%, that was not feasible.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because people forget, they always go on about Reagan. But when Reagan was president, interest rates hit 23, 24%. That was killing everybody. But that was mainly due to Carter's policies.
So you were out there doing that. What brought you to Great Falls?
Oh, I got a job with a couple different outfits, and one of them had a facility here. So I was actually working for them in Pennsylvania, and that's what brought me out here.
Okay.
That was in 1990.
Oh, wow.
So since I wasn't born here, I can't be a Senate candidate, apparently.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yes, that's probably, if you watch most of the ads, that's probably true. Right, right. Exactly. That's not how it works, but inside joke.
I know.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, I remember. And then what year did you open the storefront? I can't remember now. It's been a long time.
It was like 93 or 94.
When you opened the location at Smelter, sorry.
15 years ago.
Was it 15 years ago?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow, time goes by fast.
Yeah, we got a little bigger, and we're going to get bigger. We're going to expand again here sometime in the next year, we're going to be given more room there where we're at. So,
Oh, really? Like take over another
Yeah.
location and
Yeah.
expand? Wow, good for you. Now, is there any plans with that as far as does that change the business model at all?
A little bit, because I'd like to get more into tactical gear, knives, especially. We see a lot of interest in knives,
Okay.
and and then some other types of firearms. I want to build a bunch of different ones. I just got to have room. We got to have more room for doing stuff than what we have right now. We just don't have enough room for working on and putting things together.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things I always liked about you, Jim, that really impressed me about you as a businessman was like I love, okay, hands down, Second Amendment. I'm a huge advocate, all that stuff, but I didn't like gun culture. And what I mean by that is as I was a kid growing up, I'd go to gun shows and, I'd be wearing my, you know, Keen sandals and a pair of shorts walking around a gun show. And these grumpy old, grumpy old bastards
Right.
take me seriously. And I knew just as much, if not more about guns than they did.
Right.
And they treat you like crap and they treat you like you were stupid.
Yeah.
And you just ask questions. You'd be like, hey, what kind of muzzle brake device is this?
Right.
And they'd be like, you don't know what that is. You don't have any business knowing that it is. And you're going, it has a price tag on it. Don't you want me to buy it?
I know. I know. And that's always been a problem, and it still is, because basically when you're looking to get anything, you need information. You want to make
Exactly.
an informed decision. You need information, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, I still say I'm 66 years old, and I still say I don't know lots of times during the day, because you don't know everything. You still have to look stuff up, but that's all anybody wants. They just want information so you can make a decision.
Well, that really impressed me about you because I still remember when I called you, and that had to been like probably 2003, I'm guessing, right
Mhm.
around that time
Yeah.
frame. And you were like super friendly. You were like, hey, this is what I do. I do it by appointment only. I do it at my place. I remember I came out and I met with you and I was like, I was nervous. I'm like, I'm going into this guy's house. And if he's anything like all the guys I meet at the gun shows, he's going to be mad at me for being there. And you weren't. You were totally nice. You explained everything. And I was forever a loyal customer after that because I was just like, oh, this guy is nice. He takes care of you. He talks to you.
Right. I
And
mean, that's all you want. You just want to be treated decent, and you know, you need some things explained. Everybody's got questions. I got questions on stuff we've got to do later today. I mean, you just need to find out the particulars.
absolutely. No, I totally agree. And I always really appreciated that. And the other thing I want to say about you that I like is you do a really good job. I mean, you're great about trades and partial deals for guns, different
Right.
things like that. And I've always gone into you and you're always honest, you're always upfront, and you'll make a great deal for and I always feel like I mean, I always end up spending extra money, but I always feel like when I walk out of there, I got a great deal,
Hmm.
no matter what it is.
Right.
But you'll also look at me sometimes too and say, I just don't have an interest or I can't sell that or whatever.
Right.
And it's not this like weird game where you try to lowball me so bad
Right.
that I
Well,
feel sick. You never have done that to me. You've always done this thing where you've been like, just go sell it on your own
right.
and you'll do
There's
better.
no use insulting you. Everybody's intelligent and pretty well know what you've got in the gun or what the gun's worth. I'm not gonna insult you by lowballing it. It's just, now if you force me into taking it, that's another thing. But I'll just be straight with you, because
Yeah.
right now we're having a bunch of guys trying to trade in hunting rifles, and I mean, this is a terrible time to be getting into hunting rifles right now.
Really?
Well, we're full anyway, because they're going to set till September, October.
Oh,
They're not going to sell. You don't sell hunting guns during the summer. You do not.
yeah. Well, if you're a smart hunter, you do.
Well, I know.
Because you set it up and you shoot it all summer, getting ready for winter.
Well,
Or
and
fall.
there's a lot of deals going on right now, just due to again, I'll use the word Biden economy. A lot of the gun manufacturers that don't normally mark down prices have done it.
Oh, okay.
Done it this summer. Suppressors were coming down, but now there's such a demand with them. with them turning faster right now. That
Oh.
they're not doing the deals that they normally would in the summertime.
Oh, okay. So that's a nice segue into suppressors, because when did you become a Class 3 dealer?
2016, something like that. I think, 8 years ago, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I've never been a big like fully automatic machine gun. Just to acquire them is so difficult and so expensive, and the literally, pun intended, the bang for the buck just is never penciled out for me. So I've never gotten into that. Then, but suppressors were this thing that I hated at first. I didn't like suppressors at first. And then once I got to understand them and then talk to you, and you helped me with like quality and what's a good suppressor versus what's a okay suppressor versus a bad suppressor. And I spent a ton of time in your store talking to you and Dan about them. And once I got into them and then had started using them for work, holy cow, this is like, in my opinion, this is one of the most amazing tools for a firearm. I don't know why it's NFA regulated. It's not dangerous. In fact, I'd argue it's safe, way safer, and it just the uses for it and the safety applications for it are unreal. And just wanted you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and in fact, in New Zealand, uh, suppressors are legal. You can find suppressors out in the middle of nowhere at mini marts.
Wow.
Everybody has a silencer on their gun.
Huh.
That's just how it is. But hearing safety is what they're talking about now. But we'll just go through the whole process. To acquire one right now, it's taken anywhere from a few days to a few months. Even though they said they'd be doing it in 3 weeks, it started out going fast. We do have some that went through. We actually had a machine gun transfer in 4 days.
Wow.
I've never seen that in my life, ever.
That's unreal. I've never
And
seen
that was
it.
the guy's first one he bought, and it went through in 4 days. I mean, but because normally when we buy them, it don't go through that fast transferring to us on our license.
Wow.
So, but it just depends who you've got. The people doing our paperwork for the BATF or doing the background checks gets the least amount done consistently out of all the others. So we talked to Gianforte and Danes and other ones about that. That's been an ongoing problem where it seems like we take a little longer than others.
When you say we, are you talking about your store, Montana, our region?
All the NFA products.
Oh, just the NFA products.
Yes.
Okay.
That is taken longer. Is much faster now. Like I said, how it works right now, you decide what you want to do. What caliber, what type, or you come in and talk to us. We'll help you decide on that. I'd really like to talk to you a little bit ahead of time or during the thing, just because there's some really cheap cans out there that are absolute garbage.
Yeah.
They have no decibel rating, but they're only $200. But they're just garbage. So
They're just an ornament.
Yes,
They're gun, basically.
Expensive muzzle brake is what they are. But right now you come in, we talk it over, decide what you want, set up an account online with the ATF. It's your account. You have the password for it, but we have to have that in order to file everything electronically.
It's called the e-forms.
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yes. So we go through that. We take your pictures. You have to have fingerprints, photos. We can do that at the store. Download everything, file the thing online. We still have paperwork we have to send in that we send in besides that. But like I said, basically it's all sent in online, all done online.
I was so impressed. So I remember, because I can get fingerprints at my office.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'll just go get my fingerprints at my office and bring them down. But I talked to Dan one day and I was like, hey, I said, I want to get a suppressor. I wanted this 30 cal can right here, actually, is what I wanted. And I said, hey, I've got a daughter and she lost her hearing in one ear, and she's been starting to hunt with me and do things like that. And I'm like, I want a suppressor on her gun. That was my first personal suppressor purchase. And I was like, I want to make sure when I take my daughter hunting that it's hearing safe, and that she's safe. And so I went in and I talked to him, and he was helping me out, and I said, "Oh, well, I'll just go get fingerprint in the office." He's like, "Are you sure?" Takes like 2 minutes, and he's, your staff is so particular and so good about him. He knew he had good prints for me right away, so I didn't have to guess, and I left the store if they went through or
Right.
not or whatever. He had me totally taken care of, and I mean, I was in and out of there in like 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and I was done. And it was a little longer the first time because we had to set up the account,
Right.
but the second suppressor I bought, I mean, it took 10 minutes and it was
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. It's like I said, they've got it down, and we know what we're doing because we've been doing it long enough, and we do a bunch. We have been selling a lot of the silencers, suppressors. A lot of them been going through fast, so we don't have neither pile in the safe that we've had for years. So that's nice.
That is nice. Yeah, but the experience though is so good there. Like I wanted to say thank you, and I hope people come to your store because I mean, it anything NFA. I mean, I have probably 4 or 5 NFA registered products, and the thing about it is the whole thing is so intimidating to go through.
Yeah.
Because it's all this paperwork, and it's just, it's like you feel like you're just filling out the same thing over and over again. And you're doing all this stuff because you want to do it the right way.
Right.
And you guys are really good about making it is very painless. And it's a one-stop shop.
Right.
It's not like you got to go do it, come back later, do this, take this step. It's done
Right.
when you come in.
And it's the same thing with like SBRs or short-barreled rifles. Doing Form 1s or building your own can. Yeah, if you haven't done it, that paperwork looks very intimidating.
Well, and it's just everyone. I mean, and then you got to pay the $200 tax.
All right.
And we explain to people. Can you explain kind of how because people have to pay for their suppressor or their short barrel rifle, all that stuff up front,
Right.
and they also have to pay their tax stamp.
Right.
Can you explain to people how that works?
Sure. Once you decide what you want to get, it's just like transferring a car is what these NFA items are. You pay for it, then we do the paperwork. We have to have the serial number to put on the paperwork, transfer it, make, model, caliber, manufacturer. Once we have that, we file the paperwork. They file it. If you want to do a Form 1, you come in, you bring whatever item you want to do a Form 1 on, either like you're building a silencer, building a firearm, or doing a short-barreled rifle. You bring the gun in. We have to take pictures of that to submit with the paperwork also.
Okay. So I think it was my 22 can I got from you. I think I wanted to get it and it wasn't in stock. So if I remember right, that one was a little weird. I had to like pay for it, and then I had to fill out some of the paperwork, but I think I had to come back because you had to have the serial number for the can, right?
Right. We can do everything but the serial number. Right now, it's about 50-50. About half the stuff you can get and about half the stuff you can't right now with silencers, regardless. I mean, everybody's making silencers. There's always stuff there every day we can get, but I never heard of them, and you can't find a lot of information on them.
Right.
So I'm kind of particular. I don't like selling anything I wouldn't buy myself.
Yeah. No, that's important. No, I remember that was the only time I ever had, I think, because I had to come back, I think, on that one. I can't remember, but there was some because you didn't have you couldn't get the can. And then once you got it, I had to come in and do it. So that was the only unique thing. So
normally if we've got everything and right now we can have everything done except for the serial number. And once we get the serial number, if we're ordering it for you, as soon as we get the serial number, even before we've got possession of the can, we can file the paperwork.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Because we don't have, it used to be you always had to wait, but now with that, we can see that ahead of time. Everyone is sending us the serial numbers when they clear on the Form 3s.
Okay, perfect. So talk about, you got a whole bunch of suppressors here. Talk me through what they are, what's good about them, price points, all that good stuff.
Sure.
On some of them, and why you like them, why you don't like them, so on and so forth.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things out there right now. Like I said, the hybrid, the silencer codes, I like them. We've got a 36M silencer code 36M, which is a 36 cal, and that means it's some of the hybrids or the silencer codes, both the hybrid or 36Ms. So the M's mean they're modular, so you can make them shorter or longer.
And then this one's did you say this one's a 36?
Yes.
Okay, so this is
Yeah. So that part can come off.
36 caliber.
Yes.
And then so they make one that's the 46.
Yes. That's this one right here.
That one. And this one, basically, pretty much any caliber you can think of, this one will run.
Yes. Replaceable rear fittings. You can do a pistol connector with the I think it's a piston. Yeah, you just put a piston in there, which is basically just a thread adapter that goes in with the spring in order to allow it to flex when you're shooting handguns where the barrels have to flex. Now, the fixed barreled handguns, you can just do a direct thread. But for like Glocks and a lot of these semi-automatic handguns where the barrel has to move a little bit, you have to have a piston in there.
And that's basically that spring, correct?
Yes, it's that spring with a thread adapter like that.
Okay, so this thread adapter would have to be in there to make that work.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about a little bit, because people don't understand this, it's 46 cal, which basically 46 is one more than 45.
Right.
I only know that because I went to gun sight, and the gun sight instructors told me, do you know why I carry a 45? I'd say, why? Because they make a 46.
Right.
But so then they came out with a 46 can, but that's intentionally to make it just big enough diameter to handle all 45 caliber.
Right. You can shoot 45-70 on that.
45-70. Yeah. And that's like one hard thing I think people don't understand is like you could have a rifle labeled suppressor and it could work on a pistol.
Yes.
But it's labeled
right
46 caliber or whatever.
And the funny thing, you've probably noticed it too. I mean, for shooting, what I like about the 45 caliber silencers is on 9mm, I believe they're actually quieter than the 9mm ones because you have bigger expansion chambers. You've got a little bit bigger diameter tube. But I've shot a lot of handguns, 9mm with 45 cans, and they're very quiet, very quiet.
So let me ask you a question then. Why would anyone buy a 9mm suppressor? Wouldn't you always buy a 45?
It just depends on what you want. I try and talk them into that anymore because then if you, if you're just getting it for a handgun, get a 45 caliber one because then you can shoot 40, you can shoot 9, you can shoot 45 on it. It just, and really the money is, the cost is almost negligible.
It seems like there's a lot of them that have modular end caps as well too, where you can just
Yes.
9mm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ben's mic isn't working, so what he said was a lot of them have modular end caps, so you can adjust them to different ones. I always wondered if one of the reasons, because isn't the diameter of the 45 bigger? Isn't it going to be like a bigger diameter can than a 9mm?
It is. Here, this is just a regular 45 can, and then the 46M is going to be bigger. But yes, you're about 50% overall diameter larger with the 45 than what you're going to be with a 9.
So the only thing I can think of for my thoughts would be the suppressor height sights would have to be taller.
Right, exactly.
Or the red dot.
Yes.
Whatever you're running, because you're running a bigger diameter can, and that can's sitting over the top of your slide.
Yeah, because I've shot this one on a lot of different handguns, that 45 caliber one, and being that small, and it's still quiet. Like I said, that's they don't have to be as big around as a 46Ms. That one's still very quiet on a 9.
So, kind of more of a technical question that has to deal with the threads. So, I've never tested this out. If you have a 45 can and then you have a gun, obviously the pistol that the host is going to have a threaded barrel.
Correct.
Now, is the 9mm threads the same as the 45 threads, as the 40 threads?
No, all of them are different just to keep you from blowing yourselves up. Now, the 9mm got 2 different thread patterns. Some of them are 1/2 by 28, which the vast majority of them are. And some of them are 1/2 by 32. I've even seen a 1/2 by 32 to 1/2 by 36. I've seen 3 different thread patterns for them. And it's just Colt started it with the 9s at a different thread pattern, and then mostly everything now is a 1/2 by 28.
So you said I want to go back to what you said there. They do it to keep people from blowing themselves up.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, so you're not putting the wrong can on the wrong gun.
I.e., put a 9mm can
exactly.
on a 45.
Right.
For example.
Right. You know, it won't blow you up, but it's not going to be a good day for that silencer.
Okay.
You know, but that's the main thing. And it still happens even when you have these modular type models where you can replace the caps. If you put a 5.56 or .223 cap on that, and then you switch it over to a 30 cal gun and you go ahead and shoot it, it's going to blow the end of that off.
So I have one of these here on my JK armament can, and I have this removable. This is what you mean by end cap. I have this removable end cap, and mine's a 30 cal. But if I were to put a 22 cal on there and screw it on, would it destroy the whole suppressor or just the end cap?
It just blow the end cap. It makes it probably 50-50. It's going to screw up your threads, but they can usually be on the inner diameter of the can. But usually they can be cleaned up. But yeah, it blow the. We've had several of them bring them in that's happened, where they just forgot to switch the end cap back around, and yeah. And then we've had other ones.
I can see that happen.
The funniest story is we've had other ones where they said, well, I'll thread my own barrel. So they thread their own barrels and they bring them in and they've shot like another complete hole. They're not straight. So you have a silencer that has one ragged hole, egg-shaped, instead of just a small hole in it like it should have.
Oh, geez.
We've seen a bunch of them, and those guys usually,
so
you know. Just
for the record here, they're sitting on my table right now. Jim sells threaded muzzle brakes and $90, and that's cheap insurance for a, you know, like what's this, the 46 hybrid can? This is what, an $800 can? Yeah. For an $800 can.
The biggest thing is too, we have concentric rods to check out, because some of the barrels, believe it or not, we've found some factory barrels that are not threaded exactly straight.
Oh, okay.
So it's always a good thing to have you bring the gun in, we mount it up and check it out first. Or if you've threaded it yourself, the only thing you can do is either cut it down and go to a different thread that gets straight, or cut an inch off the barrel and start all over.
Yeah, but if you cut an inch off a barrel and you go below 16 inches, now you have to register.
Got a problem. Right.
Well, you got to go register it as a short barrel rifle.
Yeah, or you'd have to permanently attach whatever muzzle device you're going to use.
Yeah, absolutely. All things that people have to be, you know, and my advice to everybody, I mean, anybody who owns a lot of guns tinkers on them. It's just part of the. It's like owning a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Right.
You better know how to turn wrenches and stuff if you're going to own them. But there's this level you get to where you need to back out.
Well,
and turn it over to a professional.
We have to look up stuff all the time too, because there's so many different manufacturers on parts and accessories right now and some of them are not made to work. Some types of firearms, we were doing a CZ this morning, some are not made to work on very easily.
Right.
They are not.
And that's always a consideration you have to get into. So, all right. So I'm, well, we'll just use me, for example, cause you know me and know my history around guns and everything. Someone like me walks into your store and is like, hey, I just want to own a suppressor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, I gotta have one. What do you walk me through, like using these cans kind of as examples? Like, what are your questions? What do you, where are you gonna lead me?
Right. First thing we're going to do is, what do you want it for? What do you want? What do you plan on using it for? And then what gun or guns do you want to fire it on? So that's the main thing, is figuring out what do you want to do with it, and then we'll go from there as far as different calibers, sizes, whatever. If you want one, you can shoot like some of the ones you can shoot on everything from 17 up to 46. Other ones are just caliber specific. It just depends on what you want to do. You know, and then once we decide on that, then you just decide on how much you want to spend, because like I said, silencers are you know, $300 to $400 difference in calibers on
Wow.
on different silencers, depending on what you're getting. All of mine I buy personally. I just won't buy anything that's not full auto rated, just because I don't shoot everything on machine guns. But that just means if you're out shooting today when it's 90 some degrees and you're shooting a lot, you're not going to have distortion or have an internal strike because the can is warping.
Oh, interesting. Talk to me about that can warping.
Well, it's just that's what you can run into, especially if you've got lighter made silencers. Heat is not only kills the firearms, but it can be hard on silencers if they've got made out of lighter, not lighter materials, but more aluminum type of materials.
Okay.
And you get them hot and keep them hot, and it's just nature takes its course on that. And there's a lot of silencers out there that they sold for years, where I always ask a lot of questions. Is this thing full auto rated? Yes, it's full auto rated. All right, so I can shoot sustained full auto fire through it. Well, no. You need to let it cool down, and they're still doing that on ones they're making now. Well, the problem is, when it's 95 degrees and the sun's out, it never cools down.
Right.
I mean, for us, if we shoot them and they get hot, which we did here, I did just a week or so ago, I have to put them under the vehicle in the shade
Yeah.
for them to get cool enough to where we can even put them in the cases, back in the case.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they can get really hot, and you don't have to shoot them that much when it's hot for them to get hot.
Oh, it's not much at all. In fact, we run at the office. We run Elite Iron, I think, is the one we run.
Mhm.
And they're this big, heavy 5.56 can,
Yeah.
and they're like all steel. They're super heavy
Right.
cans, which I like because it makes the firearm super controllable. But they get really hot.
Yes.
And the one thing I want to kind of say, and you touch on, I mean, I've melted gun cases, I've melted the interior of my safe, different things like that. Safe meaning in my car, because I have
Right.
a safe in my car that I put them in. But I mean, that's one thing. But talk about how bad the user can get burned.
Oh yeah, very, very, very hot. I mean, it's just like touching a hot stove or worse. I mean, it's just like sticking your hand in a fire once those things, the temperature's going to be, 400 or 500 degrees or more, up to a lot more than that. The best way to cool them off is to wrap them in bacon.
Oh,
No,
yeah, and then eat the bacon.
right, then you can have a snack. But no, they do. They're very hot.
Don't do that. There's some
No.
carcinogens on that can
Right.
that you don't want to ingest.
Well,
but
I don't know. Lead's a mineral, so it's got to be good.
there
for
you go. Got to be good for you. Yeah. Lead bacon. Yes.
And getting to the smaller caliber cans now, what you run into, like this is one I've had for years, 22, a little bit longer, but you can play with ammo on some of these smaller cans, like on these 22s. You can get subsonic or other types of ammo to where it's almost TV quiet.
Oh, for sure.
I have one bolt gun where you hear the firing pin hit and you hear the bullet hit. There's no sound. It's quieter than a BB gun.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
But
this,
what you see on TV and what they show at the Senate hearings is not how it is in real life. Shooting a silencer indoors is still loud.
Unless you're shooting a 22.
Right.
Which is interesting though. So this is the Yankee Hill Phantom that you sold me.
Mm-hmm.
Great can, by the way.
Yep.
And this is not a very expensive. I think I spent $350
Yeah,
on this.
they're not. Yeah,
Not terrible.
They're not. Yeah.
But it's not a cheap can either. I mean,
No.
it's quality.
No.
I love this can so much. I mean, it's absolute game changer on how much more fun it makes my shooting experience. But here's the thing. You're totally right. Depending on the ammo, if I run CCI Mini Mags through this, which is great quality ammo,
Right.
and it's moving. It's
Yeah.
not slow ammo, but it's super quiet. If I put Federal or anything else through it, it's loud. I mean, I can still hear it crack.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is TV quiet, like you said, with the exception of maybe CCI Mini Mags. And if I went to a subsonic one, I could get it to where I can hear the bolt
Right.
run, but that's on one caliber.
Right.
The rest of these, I mean, they're quieter.
Right. Right. Because you're still going to have noise coming out on a semi-auto. You're still going to have noise coming out of the chamber. I mean, if you've got, a bolt gun, a lever gun, a single shot break open are going to be so much quieter, than a semi-auto just because of the gas coming out. So that's just it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you can still knock the semi-auto ones way down. I mean, way down to where, they're all hearing safe. My son was out from Nebraska, so we went out shooting. He was shooting an AR. We put a silencer on. My wife was shooting an AR. My daughter-in-law was shooting an AR. And while they were doing that, I was shooting with the grandkids, 22s off the table. Everything was great. Everybody
Yeah.
could hear what was going on.
Yep.
And it was nice. I mean, it really is.
Whether you're into getting fit or staying fit or just having fun with the family, join the Peak Health and Wellness Center today. With 2 great locations in Great Falls, they're here to serve you. If you like weightlifting, functional fitness, or enjoy a wide selection of cardio equipment, the Peak has everything you need. They also offer classes for all ages and fitness levels. The Peak even has a daycare for those busy parents out there. Go check out the Peak today. The Double Barrel Cafe is all about you, the amazing people of Cascade County. With every purchase you make, they give back to our community. Every bite and sip fuels their mission. Let's make a positive change, 1 cup and 1 bite at a time, because the Double Barrel is not just a cafe, they're building a better community. If you haven't noticed lately, Cascade County is booming, and the choice for all your construction needs is Builders First Source. They even have an automated home builders solution for all of your construction needs. Go to 826 Northwest Bypass in Great Falls and check them out today. Are you looking to replace those floors in your home? Or maybe you're doing new construction? The place I trust is Contract Flooring Carpet One. This is a locally owned and operated business here in Great Falls, and they are committed to serving you and giving you the very best prices and the very best product and service. Go see Contract Flooring Carpet One today. You'll be floored. When deciding who I would trust for the technology component of this podcast, the choice was simple: Information Systems of Montana. Whether purchasing products for business or when I had them build me a new MacBook to catch child predators, they delivered, creating a solution for my exact needs. Contact Information Systems of Montana today. Everybody needs a good insurance plan. Whether it's for home or auto insurance, check out Heinbaugh Agency. Eric Heinbaugh is a local agent focused only on customer service, not sales. If you're passionate about firearms and the Second Amendment like I am, one of the best places in all of Montana to go is Mitchell Supply. Jim and Tammy Mitchell have been running this gun store for decades. They're major supporters of the Second Amendment, and they're major supporters of our community. And obviously, they're supporters of this podcast. For all your firearms needs, go check out Mitchell Supply today. That's why I wanted my daughter to shoot with one, because I'm like, if I'm somewhere, I mean, it's not, the animals aren't hunting us back. I get that, but hunting can be a very dangerous experience if you're not careful. You've got other hunters sometimes out there. You've got other things going on, and plus, I want her to be able to. I want to be able to whisper to her, to tell her, "Hey, did you see that game over there? Did you see?" So she can pay attention because she's learning.
Right.
This is a learning environment, and we should be teaching our kids how to do things safely, and we should be talking to them, and we should be, but obviously you can't talk at the level we're talking when you're hunting, or you're not going to say anything.
Right.
And so I really wanted one for her. And then the other thing is I wanted one that took away the violence of the noise and everything that a firearm is a loud, violent tool that makes noise. And I wanted to take that away so that she would lower her blood pressure a little bit and she could focus on what she was doing. And I think those are the real reasons that we like suppressors. It's not, the whole, I kind of assassin romance with suppressors is not a real thing.
Right. Well, and that's what I said. It's nice because we ran a club shooting program, 4-H program for 26 years, and we were shooting indoors, so none of the guns were suppressed. and all the kids had hearing protectors, and a lot of times, you know, if you've got good hearing protectors, you can hear a lot.
Yep.
Because back in the day, we never had the microphones and things that we have now. So, you know, I just kick them in the foot and tell them do this or do that, or you know, where shooting with it's so much safer shooting with a silencer right now because you can hear everything.
Well, let's talk about this. You know, I fell into that whole thing too. So back when I was in law enforcement, we had a SWAT team. We got electronic hearing protection, and it was kind of like, well, why would we ever get suppressors? Because we got electronic hearing suppressant,
Right.
and it was that you could have a smaller rifle that was more compact and all this other stuff, and all that is true in theory, right up into the point that people forget a couple of things. Number one is here, electronic hearing protection has a cutout when you start shooting,
Yes.
meaning the enhanced sound cuts out.
Yes.
So if people are shooting, you now can't hear.
Right.
Or sometimes if they're just a high enough decibel noise, it'll kick that on, it'll activate that.
Yep.
So there was that. Then the other thing that I noticed was any wind.
Yes.
I mean, a nice, easy breeze is super distracting in those.
Right.
Or,
You know,
yeah.
you hear it all the time.
and then it's hard to hear
Yeah.
people around you. And then one of the other things people don't realize, unless you warn lots of people watching this who are into this will totally know what I'm saying. It's not going to be an issue, but just walking on gravel.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, and then if you are with a whole bunch of teammates and you're all walking on gravel, it's magnified even worse.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, you know, hearing protection's great. Electronic hearing protection can be better. But at the end of the day, taking the really loud things and cutting them down and suppressing them, you know, I know people that have had to be medically retired from gunfire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one incident. They're done.
All right.
You know?
That stuff is very loud. It is. I mean, people don't realize, and everybody's different. Like I said, as far as how much you can take, I'm deaf in one ear because of that. Because growing up, you know, hearing protection was for pansies. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just the way it was. You know, we didn't know then, and you know, when the guy's just using the plugs, I tell them at the store, you know, use a muff instead of a plug because that'll still go into your inner ear through the bone around your ear.
Absolutely.
I mean, you need to wear something just in the plugs, and then if you're shooting a 50, you need to wear both. You know, something that's really loud and a lot of vibration. But yeah, you only get 2 sets of ears and 2 sets of eyes and 2 sets of hands. That's why I've been pretty careful throughout my life.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really good advice. You know, I love the whole idea of the suppressor because of the all these things we talked about. And I've also been a firearms instructor for almost my whole law enforcement career. And one of the other reasons I love them is especially you're running a range and you've got 6 or 7 guys on that range shooting, you know, AR-15s, and an AR-15 is a very loud rifle.
Yes.
And you're out there and you can just you raise your voice a little to get down the line of people, but you don't have to do it that much.
Yeah.
And it saves your voice, it saves everything else. But I feel like the range environment with suppressors is way, way safer.
Yes. Absolutely.
I think it's a safer. I mean, I think probably your biggest risk is burns.
Yeah.
You know, like especially if you're doing transition work where you transition from a rifle to a pistol and you drop it on your leg or something like that.
Yeah. You'll only do that once.
Well, there's ways to mitigate it.
Right.
There's sling techniques and different things to do to hold it up.
And you can shoot them with the silencer covers on too, because like I said, they do make covers, and that's what I do with the shorty gun that I have. I always keep the cover on it just so we're not doing that and burning my fat leg.
Yeah, and you don't even. I mean, I've come close to it burning my leg where it's sitting on my pant material for a second, and I've pulled it off in time, and I've come close. But you also got to remember too, you're also melting all that whatever material your pant is into your leg.
Right.
So the chances of you getting an infection or something are way higher.
We were shooting, and it was a cool day, and had a plastic table set up, and one of the guys put the gun back on the table. I always had the silencers hanging off, and it took 2 seconds for that to melt into the silencer. I mean, yeah, no time at all.
Yeah, no, it doesn't take much. One of the things that I really, really hope people watch this and come away with is like, these are not by any means a dangerous tool.
No.
Do you remember when the legislature used to fight these on being legal for hunting forever?
Absolutely, yes.
Let's talk about that real quick, because that was crazy.
Well, it was like I said, it was passed. It was all ready to go, and that was who was that? Was that Bullock or
It was
one-
Bullock. It was Bullock who
Yeah.
vetoed it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then, strangely enough, when he was running for going to run for president or whatever else, amazingly, it got signed.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's just if you're shooting these big guns, like we were out the range and a guy was 3 benches down from us with one of those 338 Lapulas.
Ugh.
And I mean, it was just punishing. After 2 shots, we just got off. I mean, even with hearing protection, it was just terrible.
It hurts your teeth a little bit.
Yes, I mean, yeah, your eyeballs bounce off your brain, and that was, and that's what they don't understand. I mean, it's so much safer for everyone. It is, because, like I said, you look at all the hearing aid commercials on TV. There's a reason for that,
Yep. Oh no, there is.
but it should have been passed sooner. A lot of states, there's 30 some, if not 40 now, that allow hunting with
There's
suppressors.
anti-gun states that allow
Yes.
hunting with suppressors now,
Yes.
because they recognize its value.
Well, my favorite Democrat story was the guy that was on CNN one night going on about you can buy 50 caliber rifles with silencers and have them delivered to your home. They were black powder guns and air rifles.
Yeah.
Because an air rifle is not a firearm. A black powder is not a firearm.
Right.
These are not, they don't use cartridges. If it's a cartridge firearm, it's regulated. If not, it's not. And I mean, yeah, and they've been doing that forever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've had several air rifles with silencers because those things are loud. There's the real compressed air ones. They're louder than the 22 when you touch them all.
Yeah, no, they can be. No, that's for sure. I think the problem is like with anything, if you're anti-gun and you don't like guns, well, you don't educate yourself properly about them. You just listen to the talking points you want to listen to.
Yes.
And the hunting thing for me, I mean, I heard it all. I mean, I had friends that were game wardens and said, well, it's an unfair advantage to the animal because you're going to crank off a round and then you're going to be able to shoot again. And I'm like, it doesn't change the amount of game you can shoot, number one.
Right.
And number two, I've done it. I've missed an animal with a suppressor and they move.
Right.
It's still loud.
Right.
It's just hearing safe for you. And a lot of it has to do with your position related to the gun and how the suppressor's further out in front of you. A lot of it has to do with that.
Yes.
Because if you can be next to somebody with a suppressor, like up close to them, and
Yeah.
if it crank it off, it's going to hurt your ear.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's still gas, volume, and flames coming out of that regardless.
Absolutely. And you're shooting anything supersonic, the crack on it is very, very, very loud.
Yes.
And the animals hear it and they disperse.
Right.
You don't get any advantage.
I mean,
over it.
even if you miss them, they still hear the crack of the bullet going by them.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, they're not going to stand there, and let you do it. Some of them may, but a small chance of that. The only thing I ever see do that is gophers.
Gophers.
Yeah, they'll stand there and look around, then you can pop them again.
Well, this is probably in this 22 can that I have, probably the greatest is the most things I've ever done with is shot gophers with it, and it is unreal for that. And gophers do a lot of damage to people's farmland,
Yeah.
horses and cows,
Yes.
and so I'll always be able to help out a good rancher, a good farmer or rancher if they need it and take care of their gophers. But
And people are always asking about how they affect accuracy. It depends on the barrel harmonics.
oh yeah, let's talk about that. We haven't
But,
gotten down that road yet.
That's just it. I mean, it can, it could make it shoot a little low, a little high, right or left. It just depends. Usually when I get, like on the 22 silencers, any of them I take them out and shoot them. and see. And I mean, most of them they're just dead on. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't. I haven't seen where they affect accuracy. I'm doing one now with that 300 Win Mag. We're going to push out past 1,000 whatever, and I'll get a better idea on what that's doing. But I think the ammunition and whatever is, if you're sighting the gun in with the silencer, it's not going to change anything.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean,
And the truth of the matter is, if you're going to get into this game and you're going to run suppressors, then just put it on and leave it on.
right,
I mean, take it off to clean it.
right,
But once you shoot with it, you're not going to want to shoot without it.
right.
So just do it. I mean, it's kind of the, it's kind of the way to go. One of the questions I had coming into this episode that I've never asked or even thought about it, but it occurred to me. I have, like I said, I have 4 or 5 NFA items. How do I sell an NFA item? So I have a short barreled rifle or I have a suppressor, and I'm like, I want to sell it because I want to upgrade to this. What is it? Silencer Code 46.
Right. If you're a Montana resident, you can sell any NFA item to another Montana resident. There's just paperwork that has to be done to transfer it, if it's transferable. Now, if it's on a Form 1, it is not going to be transferable to another one.
What does that mean?
But if you built a SBR, if you
Okay.
built it,
Okay.
where it wasn't already one, and if it was a pistol and registered it, some are transferable, some are not. Most
So
are
if
not.
it's a pistol and you registered it, it's a what now?
It's going to be a rifle, short barreled rifle.
But what is that? What form was that?
That'd be if you do it yourself, that's a Form 1.
Okay, so that one you can't transfer.
Right.
Okay, but if it's if I wanted to sell,
If
what
you-
about if I wanted to sell this can to you
Right.
as the
See,
dealer?
They're going to be on a Form 4. You could sell it to us. You can sell it to anyone in
Okay.
Montana, if they pass the background check and do the paperwork. It's just like what we do. It's going to transfer from you to whoever. We can help you with the paperwork on that. I've sold a lot of different NFA items to guys in the state and machine guns. I mean, even before I was a dealer, you didn't have to go through a dealer to do that
So
if it's in state.
if you sell an NFA item, you'd have to go into a Class 3 dealer because you would have to facilitate the paperwork,
Right,
and then you'd have to the person would still have to pay the $200 tax stamp. It's not
Correct.
like they void.
Right.
It's not
Yeah,
like they get to
that's-
jump around that.
right. That's every time any of these transfer, you're hit with the $200 tax stamp regardless.
Okay.
It is. That's a federal government thing.
And just so people know, that's so that you get your tax stamp registered in your name so that you're legal to have it. Otherwise, if it weren't that way, you'd have a tax stamp in someone else's name, which is illegal. Correct?
Right. Correct.
Awesome.
Correct. Yes, and you keep a copy of that with you at all times with the item, just because in case you're in an accident or someone approaches you from law enforcement and wants to make sure that whatever you have is legal, you have that Form 4, that Form 1, whatever, to show that yes, this is yours and the serial numbers match and everything else.
What was weird is the first couple I got, they actually sent me a stamp. It's actually looked like a postage stamp.
Yes.
But now they just email it to you.
Yes, it's kind of half-ass as far as I'm concerned. But it is.
It is, but it's kind of nice too, because I was always like, well, they'll always be on my phone.
Right. Yeah, you
So-
can keep them, like I said, keep them on your phone. And that's what I tell everybody. They just email them to you, print them off on a color printer, because then the stamp shows up better. Keep that, keep that copy wherever, somewhere in your gun safe deposit box.
Is it legal to just have the picture of it on your
As
phone?
long as you've got it with you, yes.
Okay.
That shows
Okay.
proof. Yeah, because
Shows proof that you-
that's no different. That's a copy of the copy, no different than if you copied it on a copy machine.
I know in my short barrel rifles, I have them like folded up in the pistol grip, like
Yeah.
copy jam.
Well, I
in
know
there.
that's all they did for years. I've got
Yeah.
this old 22 can. I have my form just wrapped around in a circle, and I keep it in a plastic sleeve so the form's with it. So whenever I
Okay.
grab it, because it's always, you need to have that with you. And like I said, the worst thing would be like if you were in an accident or something, and they're finding these, and you've got these in your vehicle, somebody's going to want to make sure that they're legally purchased.
So I got a suppressor. I want to go hunting. and I drew a elk tag in the beautiful state of Wyoming. I'm just going to grab my rifle and grab my suppressor, screw it on there, and go, right? No problems.
Well, check and make sure it's legal down there. You got to do that.
Don't you have to contact the ATF if you're going to go
If
out of
you're
one state
taking
to
it,
another?
yes, and there's a form you have to do and whatever. It's kind of it's in state is simple, out of state is goofy, and you have to do it weeks ahead of time, if not months, to get approval for that. And traveling with an NFA item is just a real pain in the ass. That's why nobody hardly does it.
Yeah.
Because you have to, it depends on who you're talking to, but in some states, you may have to, whichever county you go through, contact the sheriff of each county. Because I had this once before with one, and I said, well, I'm not doing that, you know, because and again, then you get into the situation. Okay, I'm just going to go with it. Well, you have an accident or something happens, your vehicle plays out, and here you have an item that's not legal in that state. Then
Right.
you have a real problem.
Yeah, no kidding. Ah, jeez. Yeah, I kind of I've talked to people about that because at the sheriff's office I get a lot of calls about that, and they'll just be like, "Hey, I got this can. Is it a good if I leave?" And I'm like, "Well, I've never done it before,
I
but you
can't,
gotta
yeah, I
you gotta
can't remember the
take
form
paperwork."
number, but there's forms you fill out. You could contact BATF, and they'll tell you there's forms you fill out, and you have to file and do them ahead of time. Just because when they were still doing Knob Creek, I was wanting to go down there a couple different times, and there was a lot of paperwork for taking those Class III items out of state.
And so basically, what happens is on that paperwork, do they give you permission to go to a specific state, or do they just give you permission to leave your state with it?
It allows you to possess it there. You're still the legal owner of it, but one, it has to be legal where you're going. And two, it allows you to have it there. But like I said, you're probably still going to have to contact the state Department of Justice or whatever.
So, what's a state where suppressors are not legal?
Um, Illinois is one where you have to be a dealer to possess them.
So I guess they must only sell to law enforcement then, or something.
Right. Well, law enforcement, military, government agencies can possess. But yeah, silencers, and just recently, which surprised me, Kansas, here about a year or two ago, finally let them have silencers.
So, if I'm going to go to the state of Illinois, and I can't take my can with
No.
me, even if ATF says, yeah, you can leave the state
No,
with it.
they
I
won't.
can't go.
They won't give you authority to take that.
Okay.
Yeah, because even certain states are like that.
What about traveling through Illinois? Like I'm going to Indiana and I got to go through Illinois.
I wouldn't do it.
Do I have to go around it?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know. That's a good question.
Huh.
I don't know if you have to give them. I don't think we're like Canada where you have to give them a specific route to go with your firearms.
Well, but then if you get stopped,
But
though,
right, but
or get in a car crash,
it can be a problem. Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, the best thing to do if you're going, what I would recommend if you're traveling, mail it to yourself.
Okay.
You know, just wait. Just mail it, send it priority mail or overnight, FedEx or something to yourself once you get there. It's really a pain in the ass to try and travel with these things.
Yeah, that makes good sense. That makes really good sense. What about so I wonder, do you know, like, because you said they're legal in New Zealand, you can buy them in a mini mart.
Yep.
If you traveled there to go stag hunting or something, is there an international way to take your suppressor with you if you're going hunting?
Boy, you're getting into ITAR and the international arms trafficking thing and whatever. And no, you'd have to have licenses and almost a lot of these countries like in Africa and stuff. No, they're not going to let you.
So you just go to the mini mart in New Zealand and buy it, and then just throw it in the trash.
Well, I don't know if they'd let you buy one since we're not New Zealand residents.
I know. I'm just being funny.
But I mean that's how they work, and they have weird threads too.
Oh yeah,
they've all got different kinds of metric threads for different ones, and like I said, so none of if you buy something over there, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit anything. If you could bring it back, but you cannot. But even if you did, the thread pattern would be some goofy metric thing, maybe a left-hand thread.
Yeah, you go there and buy it. probably spend like $200 or something on it,
Right.
throw it in the trash can at the airport or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I know it's funny the way different countries are, but like I said, a lot of them, you know, guns are loud, and this really affects your hearing, and not just yours, but the people around you. That's why
absolutely.
they want you to have it.
No, I totally agree. I think it's just a fantastic tool. I think the technology. I remember, so this JK can that you sold me, of course I fused some of these together shooting it and it got hot, so they don't all come apart. I probably got to shoot it again and get them hot again, so do it. But this is the inside and this is the baffle on the inside, and I mean, these aren't very complex.
No.
I mean, they're pretty simple the way they're made. And it's just funny how something so simple can, do such an amazing job for changing someone's
Yeah,
shooting
they
experience.
changed the angles. They change the angles and how they get the back pressure and everything in them, so you're burning up all the gas. And somebody a lot smarter than me figured out that stuff.
No, it's pretty cool engineering. And I'm pretty impressed as you go through like different types of cans and all the different things that accessories and the way they're designed. I mean, there isn't hardly, I'm sure probably because of patents, there can't be, but there's not like one of these that's the same. They're almost all, I mean, there's very similar,
Right.
but they're not exactly the same. And it's pretty cool that there's that many,
No, and-
engineers out there coming up with different things.
Yeah, and if you broke them apart, you'd see how the technology has advanced over the years, because the baffles used to be real simple. I mean, they were just real simple round things and with a hole through it. So you
Yeah.
were just trapping gas and not doing anything else with it. Where now there's all kinds of different shapes and designs in there as far as how to get the gas to spin around, burn out, or whatever. And
What about
yeah.
those flow-through suppressors now?
It's funny.
3D printed ones.
Thank you. Nice segue. Ben just asked those flow through suppressors. So, like for example, the cap on this one is,
Mhm.
it's not it's obviously not a flow through because there's
Right.
one hole in it.
Right.
Tell me about that, like the flow through and what that does, because that has multiple holes in the front of it.
Right. What it's doing, it's venting out some of the pressure around the front of it too. But again, it spins it around to where it's burning it out. And one, you're not going to get as much back pressure supposedly. And but like I said, I don't know how shooting them, what kind of a signature that's going to throw.
Yeah, no, I've always wondered that too.
You know.
I'm really interested in those cans for a couple of reasons. I want to get one just because I want to try it out. I remember when I first started getting into cans, one of the things I didn't like, particularly shooting an AR-15, was especially with like a generic charging handle, I would get the lubrication and
Yeah.
stuff. It would come up under, even if I had glasses on,
Yeah.
which I always did, it would come up underneath of them and spray me in the eye. It would hurt.
Yeah.
It distract me. And I'm not seeing that as much anymore. Just like without anything really, just buying the newer cans, they don't seem to
Yeah.
have that back pressure.
No, they don't. Like I said, and that comes back to the design of them and how they're allowing the gas to pass from the baffles and burn up, rather than before it was just like the gas hit this wall, then went through and hit this wall and went through, and that's just how it was designed. But like I said, a lot of different designs now.
Well, that brings me to another point too. I remember that I also would get a really dirty, hot gun from shooting with a can.
Yes.
I don't get that much. I mean, it's dirty, but it's dirty like it normally be dirty.
Right.
And so, yeah, whatever they're doing with technology, but that's not just that's not the, what's it called? Pass through,
Mhm.
Flow-through.
flow through. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not just a flow through though. That has to do with all the other technology too.
Right. And ammo's the biggest thing with shooting silenced weapons too, because some ammo is a lot cleaner than others.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're shooting an AK or an SKS with Russian ammo, and that thing is going to be filthy in no time. I mean, but they'll keep running. And it depends, because we've seen, like some of the old M16s and whatever, if you were using ball powder, the thing wouldn't work. It wouldn't. You'd shoot 160 rounds and the gun would fail because it was so dirty.
Right.
It just depends, and the silencers trap all that in. So, like I said, now you can shoot them on all kinds of different calibers, and but they still get dirty, but they should still keep working. We shot had one AR-15. We put a lot of rounds through, and it was dirty, but it's still running.
One of the most fascinating guns that I'm seeing people are suppressing now is lever guns.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got your 4570 lever action or your 357 or, 3030, whatever. And I've been watching a lot of videos and a lot of stuff on that. And that's really cool. I mean, those things, those guns kind of have had a total new revival because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's been really neat.
Yeah. One of the customers, he was deer hunting in Kentucky. I think Kentucky. And that's what he said. He said it was like the hand of God. He had a 30-30, he had suppressed, and he said the deer just fell over.
Oh, yeah.
It was like being touched by God. It was just,
That's awesome.
because they're pretty quiet. Like I said, guns like that are pretty quiet.
Before we wrap up, one of the things I think that we haven't got a chance to talk about that I want to discuss about suppressors I think is really important is, it just makes you a better shooter. And I mean, I didn't understand that, and I had no idea. And I'm kind of like a rub some dirt on it type of person. I've got scars all over my hands from shooting. I mean, I do. I've got burns and scars because I shoot all the time, and I tear my body up doing it and just love it. I've got brass burns on my arm. You can see it right here, right there. I've got a big old brass burn from brass sticking to me. I've got terrible ones on my neck. In fact, you can almost see a cartridge still on my neck from when satin on her so long. And so I've just kind of been like a deal with it type of person and still enjoyed it. I started shooting suppressed though, and all of a sudden, the amount of effort and energy I had to put into shooting and then the outcome being better was night and day. Did you notice that?
Well, it does, especially on rifles and handguns too. You're not having to deal. The flinch thing is pretty well gone because you don't have the big loud fireball in front of you. With rifles, especially bigger rifles, you trap the gas, it pulls it forward, it cuts down on recoil. A lot. When you get on these bigger calibers, it's a lot. So yes, you can shoot a lot better. One of my friends had a 300 Win Mag, and he got a silencer from us. And his teenage boys would never shoot it. Now he can't keep enough ammo loaded.
That's true, though. It's totally true. And one of the things I noticed was the impulse was more pleasant. And what I mean by that is, like, if you shoot a red dot in an AR, it kind of goes up and to the right a little bit. Just kind of does this.
Yep.
And when you shoot and nothing happens and the dot just vibrates a little bit, all of a sudden it just changes your whole perspective.
Yep.
It's totally changes your perspective.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. Like I said, it's there's really nothing detrimental other than the cost and people are afraid of getting on another government list. But I can tell you, you're on the list anyway, so don't worry about it. You are. It's just
they can listen to your cell phone conversations right now, even when your cell phone is not on. So
because we were talking one night, me and Tammy, about some gun items, accessories. And I picked up my cell phone, and that was what come up the first.
Oh yeah,
and we had typed in nothing, and I said, "Well, that's kind of scary."
Oh, I guarantee you, when I get on my phone after this podcast, because it's sitting right here, I'm gonna have Silencer Co. ads and JK Armament ads and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, probably Mitchell Supply ads, popping up on there.
No, I know. Sure. It's funny. There's, like I said, we're moving into a different world.
We are.
A lot different when I was a kid. We didn't know what silencers were. We didn't know what hearing protection was. So.
Yeah, no kidding. No joke. Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you. You are an absolute great American. I appreciate you. I thank you for your business. I appreciate you being in our community. We are super lucky to have you in our community because this stuff is important. It's important to protect yourself. It's important to have a plan. It's important to eat, be able to get your own food. All these things are important, and you provide a store that does all that, and you go great customer service. You're super polite. So are your staff, which I love. Thank you. God bless you, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Jesse Slaughter with the Pursuit Podcast. And we really appreciate the amazing support already that this channel has received. Our social media is blowing up. Everywhere we look, people are liking and clicking and commenting. But what we really need you to do is subscribe to our Facebook page and follow us on Spotify. That's what drives this channel. That's what's going to keep this channel going forever. Tim and Ben are behind the scenes doing tireless editing, working on this to make this come out the way it does, this high quality product that it is. So please go in there, click subscribe, click follow, and make sure that this channel sticks around for a long time because we truly believe it's doing a lot of great things for our community. But there's many, many other people out there who we need to support. So follow and subscribe today. Thank you.